MacVoices is supported by LinkedIn Jobs. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. Pay what you want and get $50 off your first job post at linkedin.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, as we record this, it's only a couple hours after Apple's fourth quarter earnings call, and that means that we get to talk to Mr. Mark Fuccio because he's our guy when it comes to finances and business and that kind of thing. And he sits in Silicon Valley too, so, how can you go wrong? Mark, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for the invitation. I always enjoy these conversations, and it's only once a quarter that we get a chance to do this.
And it's in some ways it might be good that it's only once a quarter because sometimes I can get a little frustrated with them. Sometimes, you get a little mixed up about how you feel about them because of the fact that they have to be so structured. So I guess I don't want to steal your thunder. I'll let you summarize the earnings call, but suffice it to say that Apple did it again.
Yeah, I think they had a good quarter. They had set new records for Macs. I remember some of the numbers. Mac revenue was $9 billion, which is, I think, an all-time quarterly record. It was up about $2 billion or almost 30% from year over year. iPads were up. Service revenue was up. Those are all good things. Wearables were up. Watches, AirPods and home devices and whatnot. The only thing that maybe there was a little bit of controversy was iPhone sales. And I haven't fully had a chance to digest the earnings call, but from the bit that I have so far, Tim Cook was really pointing out that there was a demarcation point that he called mid-September, which is where normally they would start shipping their new iPhone model. And he said that this year they didn't have the second half of the month to really pump iPhone sales. So looking at that, it's pretty impressive to me, at least, that year over year that their sales for iPhone were flat. And again, in the conference call, he pointed out that up until their mid-September, they're in their vaguely precise point of demarcation that iPhone unit sales were up in double digits, indicating growth, continued growth around the globe for it. There's probably only two negative spots on this. One, they indicated their China sales were down. I'm not quite sure what the number was. I think it was almost 20% or more. And I think that's probably what caused the stock market and the after hours trading to go bananas and drive the share price down 5%. The other thing is on a quarter to quarter basis from Q4 last year to Q4 this year, the earnings per share were down about 3 cents per share for this quarter. So even though revenues and profits were up dramatically on a year-on-year basis, a lot of times Wall Street and the traders will look just at what happened quarter compared to a quarter ago. So if they see it down 3 cents a share or roughly 4%, if I'm doing the mental math correctly, that could trigger oh my God, the sky is falling, time to sell. I noticed, I think, a lot of the other FANG stocks, exclusive of Netflix, had earnings report today too, and I think they also took a hit in after hours. So I think just it's indicative of the market, and certainly as we're recording on Thursday the 29th, we've had 2 bad days on the markets this week as well as last week. So the market is in a quasi unsettled mood. It seems it's searching for direction. And there we are, and that's what we have to live with.
First of all, when it comes to the stock market, I mean, there's nothing else that's affecting it. The fact that Spain and France just locked down today or tonight, the uncertainty over the U.S. presidential election. I mean, there's nothing going on that would right. generate any uncertainty.
Yeah, the on again, off again stimulus bill. So I mean, this shoot and shoot now and think later. So it's. So the market's very, very, very much, sort of, choppy and uncertain, right now. So, I think actually, if this works out well, I think if iPhone 12 and various models are as strong as many seem to be indicating, Apple could be setting up to create a nice buying opportunity into early next year.
Well,
It's not a stock show, so.
yeah, well, no, but I mean, if we're talking finance, you kind of have to. So I definitely want to go back to the iPhone, but let's start with the Mac, because this was, as you said, a record-setting quarter for the Mac in spite of the COVID-19 lockdown. And I know that I guess there are a couple ways to look at this. I know the way I will interpret it. I'll throw mine out there, and you're welcome to throw yours. Um, how do we keep it? How do we keep adding new people? Well, I'm not sure, and yes, forgive me if this sounds like an Apple fanboy thing, but in fact, I know a few people that are spending more time at homes with their Windows boxes, and they're pretty unhappy with them. And they're looking at it for alternatives, and are they just decisively going to the Mac? Not necessarily, but they're saying there's got to be something better out there. Now, we all feel that there is something better, and it's been obvious for a long time. They're just hitting that frustration point, I think, and that's one of the things that may be doing that. The other thing, of course, is you've got kids at home now. They need a machine to attend school. You have, husbands and wives both working at home. You can't really share a computer to do that. So there are plenty of reasons to buy new machines, or have been reasons to buy new machines in the last few months.
Yes, indeed. I think we touched on this on the last two earnings calls, and I think it's spoken a lot last August about their Q3 results, that they were making a lot of headway into enterprise and company adoption. And the thing we talked about then was, just as a proof point, the fact that device management software company Jamf, JAMF, trading symbol JAMF, went public, on the strength of selling into the Apple environment, and so I think that trend is certainly continuing, as well as because of COVID. As you were saying, there's a lot of reason people want to have better devices, better equipment, and at $1,000, the new MacBook Air, I think, really hits a lot of people's sweet spot.
I agree with you, and again, so let's pretend you're in that situation where you're shopping for a new box. You have the Chromecast out there. You have the iPads. You have the Surface tablets. People are turning to the Mac, and I find that obviously self-validating or validating here for us. But at the same time, I think that says a lot about what the overall feeling is about the Mac, and that maybe people are pushing back a little bit and wanting to run a Mac as opposed to Windows.
And Microsoft has certainly eased the way for it with their cloud version of Office 365, or whatever its name is this year. That makes it a lot easier to gain access. All you have to do is log in, and it downloads the apps periodically, and all your data can be in the cloud. Certainly, a lot of corporate apps have been webified, so that web browser is a front end. So all of these tend to diminish the need to be wed to a particular type of system. And I think I've seen somewhere in the general press that Microsoft is starting to forcibly try to push people away from using older versions of IE to get into their newer version. And, that'd be another very good thing. And I've got a dog barking in the background. I don't know if you hear that.
That's all right. He's just demanding attention. So the iPhone, this is a place where I can get a little bit frustrated, but I completely understand. I do understand that we're talking about the quarterly results. All right. So anything since September is, off the table. But at the same time, and especially hearing about the after hours market reaction, we have the iPhone 12 now. It's now live. In another week or so, we'll be ordering the other half, if you will, of the iPhone line, the Mini and the Max. Sort of the two ends of it. the iPhone 12 sales. In fact, there have been a couple articles going around this week saying that Apple has been a little bit overwhelmed and surprised by the response to iPhone 12. So that you're right, that's sets up really well for the next quarter. Um, I mean that's the way I interpret it. So I don't think that if anybody felt like there was bad news on the iPhone front, or less than stellar news, I feel like it's just delayed reaction because of the delays associated with COVID.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, Apple is about a month later this year than they have been in the past. So, I think last quarter, it's really odd. Last quarter seemed that they said they were up in China, and I think they alluded to the fact that their then newer, smaller phone was a prime driver of demand. This quarter, China's down. I've got to imagine, because it's manufactured there, that they have a lot of very intelligent, consumers. Um, we'll have to see what happens with next quarter. Just wondering about what's going on with the economy in China because of COVID, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Europe was up. That's good news. The United States, Latin America, they're doing very well in lots of other regions. And again, I think if you look at the other products, wearables, iPads, Macs, and services, which sell to all of those things, is going up. Again, they announced a quarterly dividend, 20 or maybe 20 and a half cents per share. So they're making a lot of cash and they're returning it to shareholders in combination of dividends as well as buybacks. I know it's just quickly that even though they split their shares, what was it, 5-for-1? They still have fewer shares outstanding than a year ago. So they are continuing to buy and repurchase shares, which is a thing that helps increase earnings per share, and that tends to drive up the share price. Because what that really means is that for whatever small piece of the apple pie you own, as they repurchase shares, your share gets proportionally bigger. So you own more and more and more of the company as they continue to buy back their shares.
And maybe I missed it, but that's something that doesn't seem to get a whole lot of press. The buybacks. I mean, obviously the dividends always do, but the buyback does. They'll say we're continuing our buyback program or something like that, and and the press seems to gloss over it. But you make an excellent point that where you had this little percentage of the company, when they buy back, it grows just a little bit, not a lot, but a little, and over time that can make a big difference.
Absolutely, it can make a big difference. They've been retiring. Again, this is from memory, 1.25% per year for for past 5-6 years. So that's if you had done nothing, that basically means you own 5% more of the company than you did way back at the start of that imaginary thought experiment. So that, plus also they're continuing to increase their dividends. So they're doing all these things that are very very friendly to shareholders, and part of the reason that's has had such a dynamite return over the past couple of years, half a decade, 2 decades, ever since jobs came back at the end of the 90s.
One comment that Tim made that sort of goes to the iPhone, maybe to the upcoming Silicon Macs, I don't know, but that he acknowledged that they are constrained on just about every supply line. And just very matter of factly, and of course, I don't think it should be a surprise to much of anybody, but the fact that he came out and acknowledged it so matter of factly, it just surprised me. I mean, I was surprised that somebody would ask the question because it seems so obvious, and obviously he has to respond truthfully in this scenario. But it was just like, yeah, we're doing that. But on the other hand, he didn't say this is me. We're also making a boatload of money over here. The demand for our products is high.
Yes. So just goes back to, there's strong worldwide demand and appetite for Apple screens of all sizes, from watch to phone, pad, notebook, as well as desktops. So um, it's very good for them right now.
This edition of Mac Voices is supported by LinkedIn Jobs. Make your next great hire at LinkedIn Jobs. 2020 is the year that nothing was like it used to be, nothing like we would like it to be. Even so, we still have so many things to be thankful for. Thanksgiving and Black Friday are definitely going to be different this year, but nothing is going to stop the holiday rush. That means you may be ramping up your staffing needs, and that's why you should think LinkedIn Jobs. I like LinkedIn for several reasons. First, it is business focused, so you are connecting with folks on a business level, not the favorite photo or look at my vacation photos level. Second, I know that if I connect with someone on LinkedIn, they have that same business focus. And with over 706 million members across the globe, there are plenty of connections to be made. You can get your talent search started faster and easier than ever with LinkedIn Jobs' new tools. Add targeted screen questions to your post to help you laser in on the best candidates quickly and easily. I'll be telling you more about LinkedIn Jobs, but for now, when your business is ready to make that next great hire, find the right person with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit linkedin.com/MacVoices. Again, that's linkedin.com/MacVoices to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for their ongoing support of MacVoices. I don't know if you listened to the call or all the call, but this happens every time. There's sometimes I feel like some of the analysts ask really, really good questions. And then there are times that it feels like they just ask a question to sort of keep their spot in the queue and get their voice heard. Am I being too hard on the analysts?
No, I don't think so. And I've only gotten through about 30, 35 minutes of it, so I haven't had a chance to get all the way to the end. But yeah, I mean, what can you say? Just there's some analysts are good on the spot, thinking up questions, and some don't have as many IQ points as the others do. So I think that's just human nature, that we're seeing there.
Yeah. Your dog really wants you. It's dinner time. The other thing, one of the other things Tim did was he put a lot of praise on the Apple people, and talked a little bit about what the adjustments they've made and will continue to make. And that was one of the analyst questions, I think, toward the end. That, well, if we are coming to a second lockdown, what provisions are you making? Which also seems a little self-serving. And Tim went through a lot of things, specifically saying that I guess the way it sounded, they're tasking a lot of people working from home now with being phone support, which is, I think a brilliant thing, because that is a way that you can respond to your customers even better if you have people that maybe can't do their same jobs in the office. I'd love to know what the training program is, or how the scripts go, or whatever, because I wouldn't want to be doing my job today and then going to work in a call center tomorrow for my industry. I mean, even though I could speak to my specialty, it would be a whole different thing to just start fielding calls. So I'd love to know the backstory on that.
Yeah, I believe I believe that's just predominantly Apple retail people that they are redirecting in that fashion. So again, I think the whole company deserves congratulations, because they turned in really strong results this quarter, and especially in the past, given the amount of sales out of Apple stores, having so many closed around the world, I think it really is a testament to them to be able to flexibly, reflow or redeploy their people in a way, and keep sales going and keep everything going strongly.
Yeah. One of the other things I definitely wanted to touch on, though, was Apple Card and Apple Pay and all of that, and the contactless payments. I mean, it seems like Apple was almost prescient in pushing this, and I believe I will paraphrase Tim to, that this has taken it to a whole new level. And it really has, because I find that I don't get nearly as many strange looks when I say, "Do you take Apple Pay?" or is this terminal tap compatible? It's like now people are sort of expecting it. Um, Sometimes the terminals are a little strange because they still require me to touch something to acknowledge that yes, I want to use this. But I guess it's better than nothing, and it's definitely better than handing a credit card over to somebody and having them handle it and hand it back to me. So. But I wish Apple personally, I wish Apple would push that just a little more, and remind people that with your phone, with your watch, you can pay for things this way. But I also am seeing more and more Apple pay for Apple on websites, and for different services as a payment option. So I think this is really interesting where this is going, and how they're slowly but surely, just like Apple does, they kind of advance things.
Yes. I need to hear the rest of the earnings call where where some of these questions came up that he addressed, because what was it, 2 years ago now? I think we talked about some of the potential of Apple Card just before, and then maybe just after they announced it. And yes, like you, I see that is available in a lot more places. Um, and some places I don't, like Home Depot. If anyone at that company is listening, um, did some major purchases, thousands of dollars at Home Depot for some home projects recently, and unfortunately they don't take Apple Pay. They have wireless contacts, so you can touch your card to the card reader and not have to hand it to somebody and they touch it and then give it back, or have to you know, in these times of COVID, touch a dirty touch screen of unknown cleanliness. But it would be nice if they just did the whole thing and it just took the Apple Card or Apple payments directly. But yes, it is becoming more available. And when I made that, well, I've been there a bunch of times over the past 3 weeks, but the first time when I made the largest purchase, I asked the customer service rep about it, and she said no. We really wish we'd have it. And she held up and said, yeah, because I I use one too. I can't wait for them to take it. She was holding up her iPhone. So I think that's just a matter of time and maturity, and probably a company that size, as there's a cost to rolling out new terminals and so on and so forth. So um, the good news is that my local grocery stores are now reliably using Apple Payment. So um, whereas as little as a year ago, it used to be maybe not sort of situation, but now at either the register or self checkout, it's accepted. So um, I really wish Apple would provide a little bit more visibility about how much money is going through their network and maybe what their take is. But that's just all buried in the services line.
Yeah, but the services line is looking better and better.
Yes.
And I mean, we've talked for probably a year or better about how our Apple wants to transition a significant portion of their business to becoming a services company. And, once again, they don't do it just overnight, but they put things in place and slowly push it along. I'm not sure if you've gotten to the point in the services, pardon me, in the call where Tim said that the Apple One bundle will become available tomorrow, which is the first that anybody heard of that. So all of a sudden it's
Oh,
like,
that's
oh,
that's
surprise, here
very
we
exciting.
go. Yeah.
That's really great news. That is very good news. No, I'm not at that part in the call yet either. So yeah, so I think keynote for our listeners is that the earnings calls are available for download as podcast. And as you hear Chuck and I talking about here, they're buried. They have lots of little tidbits and a lot of information contained within them. So listeners out there, you should certainly, if you have more time in your schedule, you should download it, and maybe cancel some of those other weaker podcasts that on a once a quarter basis, and listen to the Apple earnings call instead.
That's a good point, and I will echo that. The first 3 to 4 minutes, they have to go through all the things they have to say,
Right.
and then they go through prepared remarks, which are, I mean, with any company, they're going to be propaganda might be too strong a word, but they're obviously going to be designed to show the company in the best light, unless the company just has terrible, terrible news to reveal. And then after that, it's a little more free form. You still get analysts. I can't say anybody did it this time specifically, but you get some stupid analyst that will ask a question about an unreleased product that is obviously not going to be answered. And, then they have to waste time saying, we don't comment on unreleased products. But with those few caveats, they are really interesting to listen to, and especially the Q&A from the responsible analysts that you can tell there's a relationship there, and they're trying to get things out of Tim, and Tim doesn't want to say them. But part of that is just kind of good-natured jousting, I guess.
Right. Right. Yeah, there is a lot. Again, you can see people trying to tease out some sort of will Tim slip today and tell us what the next XYZ product is going to be, and it's possible, but not very likely that something like that would happen at all. But really, I think when they ask about sort of the dynamics of the business or trends that they're seeing, those tend to get the most informative, and unguarded is maybe too strong a word, but most informative response. Whereas there's a whole lot of stuff geared specifically to the operation of the business that for all sorts of SEC and other reasons they can't directly address. But talking about trends they're seeing and how COVID is happening and affecting sales in different geographies around the world, or adoption of different type of phones in different geographies, things like that can give you a little bit more insight on. And it's fascinating just to really see the way that they're thinking about their business, because again, they've just done a really great job. So Tim, if you're listening, keep it up.
Yes.
If not anyone else at Apple who's listening, keep it up. We have a happy shareholder here.
Definitely. Which, thank you, because that reminds me, we probably should have done it at the beginning of the call. We'll do it, or we'll do it at the end. And that is that I have a small stake in Apple. Nothing that affects my judgment or opinion, because I'm pro Apple, regardless of whether I'm a shareholder or not. And I think, Mark, you just indicated you have a stake as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
not as large as Warren Buffett, but but greater than my neighbor across the street who's a Windows guy.
You're aspiring to be Warren Buffett, right?
It's great to have role models.
Yeah.
It's great to have role model.
And you got to figure if Warren's buying it or holding it, then it's probably something maybe you should be holding too.
Well, yeah, but on a serious note, I think that was part of the thing about 3 years ago that sort of convince people that it really is okay to buy Apple. It's not just going to be a flash in the pan, and that it is properly viewed as a consumer products or consumer luxury business, instead of a technology business that's highly at risk due to technology evolution, technology change, technology substitution. We've certainly seen enough turnover and demand of for iPhone that the system is sticky, as they say. And one thing I did hear is Tim Cook did say that for the Apple Watch, that I think he said 3/4 or more, about or on the order of 3/4 of the buyers this quarter were new to Apple Watch. So that's very good. Now that should open a lot of other use for some of their services, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because one thing a lot of VCs and other people that talk about is so-called network effects. That the more people there are using something, the more value it is. Well, there is a network effect in having Apple products. The more of them you have, the more value you get, because they all work together. And from the most recent event, I think they're showing the intercom feature. That was backward integrated as the old original Apple HomePod. as well as watch and phone. So Siri integration across devices. They really do provide seamless transition between different things. So it really doesn't matter if you're looking at a tiny screen to big 27-inch screen. You really get a great experience working with them.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you're absolutely right. And just to reinforce it, it's not just a case of, okay, I bought, oh boy, this is I'm gonna blow my example, but it's not that you buy a brand of this, and so therefore you buy a new car, you buy a Honda, and it's not necessarily that you're going to buy another Honda after that because they work well together. But with Apple products, yeah, they do integrate, and we talk a lot about the Apple ecosystem. There are very few of them at this point, and I'd have to really stop and think, but there are very few of them that are they can be standalone, but they can also fold into that ecosystem. And that's no small thing. And Apple just keeps, they may not do it right all the time, but they do it right an awful lot of the time. So.
Right. I think maybe Amazon might be the closest competitor between their different device and their Fire Sticks and their smart speaker. So I think they're very much on the ball, as well as all the skills that they add to it. I think they're certainly giving Apple a run for their money in home automation. Google not so much. I'm not quite sure what has happened there, but I think home automation, I think it's going to be an Apple Amazon race. The A's of FANG.
Yeah. Well, go listen to the rest of the call. I think you'll find it interesting. Folks, go and download it and listen to it as well. I'd love to know what your thoughts are from what Tim said, or what your reaction is to the analyst's comments, or whatever. It's a part of, if you're just a casual Apple user, you're probably not going to bother. But if you're an enthusiast, you probably are, and I think the odds are high, since you're listening to this, that you would enjoy it. Mark, where can folks find you when you're not listening to the Apple call or here commenting on it?
Easiest place to find me is Twitter at MarkFuccio, at Mark Fuccio, all one word, lowercase, and you can get me there. And just before we sign off, I'd say for any of the listeners here, if you have any comments or questions for Chuck or me, join Chuck on his next MacVoices Live, because I don't think he will be promoting it at the end of the show like he should be.
Okay, I think I owe Mark some money. All right, so I'll do that. So MacVoices Live, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, and this show should go out before the next MacVoices Live. I'll tell you right now, we're just going to do an open mic, bring your own topic thing, because it will be election night in the U.S. and some people will have other things on their minds. We're not going to talk election. We're just going to talk tech. So come and join us. It's a lot of fun. And thank you for the plug, Mark. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's a great show.
Thank you. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We will see you again here on the regular MacVoices, and maybe we'll even see you at MacVoices Live. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.